I suppose the standard formula about value always effectively has x minus y, which is the value of the good you get minus what you pay for it, and that's not. It's a gross oversimplification sometimes, but why it's a gross oversimplification is because often the product is considered to be the thing you buy, and that's usually treated very simply as the thing you actually get. Which is treated as if it were free of context, and as if everything has some sort of intrinsic value regardless of the context or the moment or the frame in which it's bought. And then also the danger is that price is basically considered to be one and the same with the financial cost of the item. And that's where the oversimplification becomes really, really dangerous, when you effectively go, it is thing X, it has a financial price, those are the only two things going on in that equation. And actually you also emphatically have to factor in things like the value of a thing depends on when it's bought, in which frame of mind you buy it, what the nature of the occasion might be, what alternative you're comparing it to. There's no sort of set unit in the human brain like the hedon, which is, I will always pay X for one slice of pizza, for example. Similarly, in terms of cost, you also have to look at things like the emotional cost, not just the financial one. It's a very narrow economic view merely to say something that costs £4 therefore costs twice as much as something that costs £2. There are a whole load of emotional things to be factored in. The comfort you feel with your choice, for example. If you choose something but feel slightly uncomfortable about it, you're not quite sure you've chosen the right thing, that might actually reduce effectively increase the cost of the purchase emotionally. It's also worth remembering that our perception of these things is to some extent social and competitive. It's not entirely individualistic. So let's just take a theoretical example. If you go along and you want to buy a pizza for yourself and one other person, and a pizza, let's say a good pizza for two, that effectively costs you £9.50, and you see alongside it that there are offers for pizzas for 3 and pizzas for 4, but no offers for a pizza for 2, then that price you're paying hasn't actually become any higher, but your perception of value has probably become worse, because you feel there are other people benefiting from these offers, and I just happen to be in a category where none of the offers fits. And so there are lots and lots of things around the transaction that have to be considered before you can treat this as a simple equation. Does that seem fair?
Seems very fair. I mean, price is not separate from the product we buy. Price is an indicator of the quality of what we buy. So in some sense, we taste the price when we're tasting the pizza. Yeah. And in a way, I suppose price is the single most reliable indicator of quality that we have, probably even more than our taste buds. I know that in the consumption of wine, for example, the knowledge of the label and the wine and the price and the provenance of the wine will already be setting up pleasure centres in the mind before the palate has touched the liquid. So in some sense, the way we price is hugely important to the experience that we have.
Price is a signal for many people. I mean, a classic Cialdini example that ought to be raised is the story that was told of the woman who owned the jewelry store, who had a whole collection of turquoise jewelry. It wasn't moving at all. So she moved the jewelry, did a merchandising strategy, put it in a more prominent place. It didn't work. So merchandising in that case didn't work. There was a misunderstanding between her and someone on the team, and instead of the product being dropped discounted by 50%, they misread her notes. They doubled the price. She came back from being away from the office, and all of the product sold. So in that case, it's a beautiful illustration of where price is a signal of quality.
So it's a very highly significant fact, particularly in something like pizza delivery, which is that dropping the price is probably less emotionally potent than actually giving people something else on top.
Yes, I think we can see this in service as well. I think the experience of good service is where we cannot interpret that service offering other than as a gift. other than as an altruistic gift. Once we see that that service is driven by self-interest rather than the desire to give, it loses its quality of being a service. And I think in some restaurants there's always some element of a gift that you can only interpret as being an altruistic gesture. And because of our reciprocity as human beings, we want somehow to give back something as a gift if we've received a gift. And I think loyalty in some senses, certainly in a service industry like restaurants and so on, can sort of use that notion of reciprocity to build tighter and tighter relationships of trust